want to talk about Venezuela. Obviously, it's with your legal hat on. Do you, hand on heart, do you think these strikes are legal?
Yes, I do think the strikes were perfectly legal. What they're trying to do is get the military to second guess their own abilities, their own authority. Nobody wants forever wars. No, I don't think anybody really truly wants war. I don't think Donald Trump wants the war.
I want to talk about Venezuela. Obviously, it's with your legal hat on. Do you, hand on heart, do you think these strikes are legal? It's clear that there was the admiral that left the Pentagon in mysterious circumstances. Was clearly, it's been reported today, was clearly against these strikes, saying that they were fell within, there was that precedent, fell within a legal grey area. Pete Hegseth, the Defence Secretary, Secretary of War, is under growing pressure now with these strikes. Fill our listeners who may not be fully up to speed with the row, where we're at, and so far it feels like the White House is sticking to their guns to kind of.
Yeah, I think yes, I do think the strikes were perfectly legal, and of course, it's always interesting to hear what the admiral has to say or what senior military have to say. But let's not forget the military is very political as well. We like to pretend that they're not. They are extremely political. So everybody is subject to their own political views. At the end of the day, according to the law of armed conflict, I mean, this administration has said that these narco-terrorists are...
But they're drug dealers, not terrorists, though. That's the point. That's the problem. Is that you have to classify them as terrorists in order to have the legal underpinning to take them out.
Well, I mean, they're killing a lot of Americans with the drugs that they're bringing in.
Aren't they just crooks?
I don't think so, and I mean, I guess that's subject to debate. I think it's fine that this administration deemed them terrorists, and they have essentially deemed them enemy combatants, which would mean that the law of armed conflict applies. And under the law of armed conflict, the strikes were legal. The second strike was legal, even if you want to say, but they'd already conducted the first one, and
I mean, in the trying to just tell that to people in ISIS terrorists, often who were Western citizens in Raqqa, that they weren't going to get double tapped. Like they were. Like the order was to destroy their vehicle, take them out.
It happens all the time.
Exactly.
It happens all the time, and it's like it's a little bit. This is just the way of, I guess, politics at the moment, but. Under Barack Obama, I served in the military. I was a judge advocate, and I served in command operation centers in Afghanistan and in various theaters. This was like normal, especially under Obama. It was all the time.
Yeah, people have gone on the record and like yourself now and said sometimes you miss with the first one, or sometimes it's a moving vehicle.
Right, and so the question,
sometimes you need another go.
Right, and especially if there's multiple people and you strike the first time and you get some, but you don't get everybody. The question and analysis then becomes, and there's often attorneys right there, and my understanding in this situation was there was a senior judge advocate there to help analyze the situation as it was unfolding. The question then becomes, are the survivors of the first strike still a threat? And so if this were on land, no question, yes. The reports that I've heard, and this is just what I've heard, is they were trying to radio in, to restart, they were trying to continue to either evade or continue to participate in this narco trafficking, which authorized the second strike.
And also, without putting too fine a point on it, presumably it's quite a new sort of scenario. These boats, this is the first or second attempt at it. I think it was. This is the first time. Often this is not done at sea. This is done on land. Yeah. Is it that they were trying? The mission was to take the boat out, and it took 4 missiles to do it.
Yeah, I mean that, like you said, that happens on land all the time. I think the only thing that gives them that wiggle room to argue that they shouldn't have done it is the law actually uses shipwreck as an example. If someone's stranded out in the middle of the ocean, they're clearly not a threat, right? So your requirement then is to save them, to render aid and all that. Does this classify as a shipwreck? I mean, we obliterated the vessel. However, the scenario
is kind of grey area. It is still a grey area then.
I mean, everything is a gray area, right? Even the admiral said it's a gray area. And so as far as military goes, if it's a gray area, the win goes to the military, because you do not want a situation, and this is what the Democrats are trying to do right now with the Mark Kelly situation.
Suggesting that, the soldiers are following illegal orders. Yeah.
Yes, what they're trying to do is get the military to second guess their own abilities, their own authority. they want them questioning whether President Trump has the authority to do what he's doing, and they want them questioning whether
Just
Pete
about
Hegseth,
sowing doubt, right?
Yes, and so I think that is a much bigger issue because at least, I joined the military in 2009, and since I've been in the military, the benefit of the doubt always goes to the commander because you don't want anybody in a combat situation questioning whether they're allowed to do something. Now, certainly you have the attorneys there, the judge advocates there to help provide, guidance, but you don't want anybody concerned about something in the middle of a conflict.
It feels like there is a bit of an operation to get Hegseth. What's your?
Of course there is.
I mean, but even if it's not necessarily even just a political one, it does seem that there's a bit of a Pentagon operation. There's some concern even within Republican circles about whether he's up to the job. What do you? I mean, they thought they got him on the signal leaks. The reports come out today. He's managed to survive that. Inadvertent. It's not. It's the classic. It's not illegal when the president does it. It's in writing it down, he was declassifying it because he has the power to declassify. So he can't actually leak classified information because if he's sharing it, So he's got away with that one. It does feel to me like there's a lot of pressure growing on him. There's a slight whiff, I think, you could feel it at the weekend, of a slight distance beginning to open up between the White House and the Pentagon on this when the president said, I wasn't aware of a second strike, I'm not sure I like that. And then, obviously Hegseth obviously he's focusing a lot on this, but he's not involved in any of the Ukraine stuff, which you think he traditionally would be, given its, the Pentagon's stocks that are being depleted day in, day out across Europe. Do you think he's in trouble? Do you think he's no?
No, not at all. I think this is, unfortunately, I think it's a state of politics today.
Yeah.
I think I say the left, but it's not really left or right. It really is kind of the establishment, old guard politics
versus
in the United
Trump,
States versus the
administration.
The administration and really the America First populists, right?
Yeah.
So I say left and right because that's kind of the talking points we have, but it's not. That's not really a true distinction of it. But yes, I mean, if they're not in power, meaning the establishment at this point, and how much power they have right now. You've got a bunch of them in Congress and the Senate, so it's not like they have no power. But with the kind of the old guard establishment, if they can't convince Donald Trump to go their way on something, they're going to try to throw sand in the gears of anything he does.
Which doesn't seem to be working this time because there was so much chop and change in 45 Trump 1.0, first term, chiefs of staff, going in and out, directors of comms, and cabinet ministers chopped and changed. He does seem this time to be slightly more determined to just say, "No, these are my picks. I'm the president. Off you jog."
I think that's right, and I think that's why Hegseth's fine.
Yeah.
Because those that support President Trump, those America First, they love Pete Hegseth, and they're fine with what he's doing. And I think the president understands now that, yes, the media has a very important role in all of this, but I think his followers do not necessarily agree with the big narrative that comes out on stuff. So I don't think Hegseth is in trouble the way the media would like people to think that he is.
And also, they kind of it's kind of one of theirs, right? They think, hang on, this guy was a Fox presenter, and now he's in charge of the Pentagon. Why aren't I in charge of this?
Yeah,
why can't I have a go?
And this is the thing with politics, right? Is I say this as someone who lives and works in Washington D.C., but it really is a situation where you have a bunch of nerds who have never been cool a day in their life, and they get into politics, and now they can kind of force the world to pay attention to them, and they get upset when somebody else gets to do it. I mean, there's just a human element of jealousy and that type of frustration that comes with this type of high level exposure type stuff.
He does need better suits though. That's what I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that. I mean, at least 2 sizes too small for him. But just while we're on Venezuela, just to wrap up on this, you mentioned this would all be very different if it was on land. The sort of, President Trump's made some severe hints that, we could go in, boots on the ground in some capacity in Venezuela. Obviously, the airspace around Venezuela is closed. You've got Maduro desperately trying to do an oil deal, desperately turning back on accepting deportation flights in the last 48 hours. Do you feel we're ratcheting up here? And talk us through the legality of how that shifts when actually it's boots, not boats.
Yeah, so I think, President Trump very outspokenly doesn't like war. He doesn't.
For a guy who doesn't like war, he also likes blowing stuff up a lot.
He does. Well, yeah. I mean,
he's bombed Iran. He's bombing the Caribbean.
Yeah, but in that case, he gave them notice. He told them clearly he wasn't trying to kill anybody.
Yeah, it looked like it worked as well.
So right, and so I do think he tries to avoid it, recognizing that
Peace
using
through strength.
Yes, peace through strength. I think that is very much his approach. I don't think he wants to open a war with Venezuela, but I don't think he's afraid of it. And so I think he's going to go as far as he can to accomplish what he wants to accomplish without.
Where do you think the American public is on that? Because I mean, no one elected Donald Trump to expand wars. Obviously,
Right.
the fentanyl issue is extremely unpopular. Mm-hmm. Where do you think the public opinion is on America doesn't have a great track record in interventions in Latin America over the years.
What are you talking about?
To put it gently. Is there a public appetite for this?
I think President Trump's base supports him. I think the base likes seeing a president, peace through strength. I think they like that. I don't think
they don't want forever wars, though,
right?
do they?
Nobody wants forever wars. No, I don't think anybody really truly wants war. I don't think Donald Trump wants the war, right?
Yeah.
So I would probably say no. I don't think this is something that Americans want, but I do think they want the results that Donald Trump is trying to get.
And legally, where are they at? I mean, if they decide to put in special forces, presumably it's not going to be a ground invasion of the full ground invasion of Venezuela. How?
Well, that becomes a much, everything they're doing right now is in international waters, and so it's a different set of law. It's a different body of considerations than when you actually invade a sovereign territory. And so I don't have it off the top of my head as we speak, but they will have to come up with a legal theory that authorizes them to do that.
So you don't think he's bluffing? You think he genuinely could do it? He's not just trying to put pressure on Maduro.
I don't think he's bluffing. I don't think he wants to do it, but I don't think he's bluffing.